Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to Altcoin Daily with Bitcoin Gorilla. Today, we're going to have a deep multi-time frame analysis on the altcoin named Waps. If you don't know the fundamental of the altcoin Waps, please go and watch my previous analysis on Waps so that you get the fundamental analysis to understand what this coin is all about. Because this video is going to be strictly technical analysis, and I'll be looking at multi-time frame. If time permits us, we'll be looking at the monthly chart, the weekly chart, the daily chart, as well as the 4 hours chart. We're going to be drawing the chart from scratch. No indicators will be used. So if you're new to my channel, you're welcome. Thank you for joining me in this analysis. I am Bitcoin Gorilla. My analysis, I use a personally developed strategy called the Bitcoin Gorilla Box. Now, the box strategy might look strange to you if you've never experienced it before, but if you end up liking it, give me a thumbs up and do subscribe. So, I'm going to start this analysis by drawing the chart on the weekly chart. Like I said, no indicators is allowed. So, we're going to zoom in, and the most basic important thing about price is that price can only move as a result of two things: buyers and sellers. Without buyers, they can never be sellers, and without sellers, they can never be buyers. So these two people coexist. So this is why you must understand that when market pull back, doesn't mean that market will not come back up. And the reason why my analysis is also going to be based on the reaction and actions of these two people, these two buyers and sellers. And don't forget, my viewer, that you and I, you are the buyer, you are the seller. I am the buyer, I am the seller. Because if I buy at some certain point, I have to sell, and so you too. So these buyers and sellers is what makes up a very important area on our chart called the support and resistance. So the top of here, this line you're seeing here, is the all-time resistance. That's the all-time supply area. And the bottom here, this line represents the all-time support. That is the all-time buyers area, right? This is the lowest the price has ever gone, and the highest the price has ever gone. Now, another interchangeable word for this is demand and supply. So aside from the all-time high and the all-time low, there are other points in my chart where price had some funny reactions, and this is what I have shown you and I've mapped out with these other lines. So these are areas on my chart where price gets to and price show a certain level of reaction. Either if price was going up to the upside, when price get to this level, price stop, pause for a moment before continuing the move, or price stop and change direction entirely. You can see that happening here, it happened here, it happened here, and so on and so forth. And I think there's a very beautiful clear one right here, because you can see, let's pick it and put it here, so you can see that this point what happened. So taking note of this, the next thing I want to bring in is, now that we're getting to the interesting part, I'm going to bring in the Bitcoin Gorilla box strategy. So you can easily remember, the drawing tools that I'm using is just two drawing through the trend line and the rectangular tool. So now this is the box strategy. So the next thing the box strategy demand is I get the all-time support and all-time resistance of the entire chart. So this is quite the all-time support. Now, mind you, there's no strategy that is 100% all the time. But I tell you something, Bitcoin Gorilla Box works so good that you will be happy if you understand how this works, because it will help you avoid stop loss hunt, and you will actually have a better clue of why price do what they do at some certain levels of your chart. So what we see here is this this is quite the all-time supply area and the all-time demand area of this main box. Mind you, this is our fixed box. But if I look closely, I see that there is something that seems to occur. Price seems to be stuck around this range than it is on this range and this range. So I'm going to try to create yet another box. Now, one thing you must also know about my chart is the inside box is not as strong as the bigger box, right? So always take note of that. that the inside box is not as strong as the bigger box. So if you watch my analysis, I talked about how the box, my last analysis on WAPs, the inside box chances are, because whenever you're trading the bigger box, the goal is whatever is in the top. If you enter here at the bottom of the bigger box, you are targeting the top of the bigger box. The inside box is the middle, which means at some point it gets broken depending on the supply and demand at the bigger box. So it's like a pregnant woman. If the pregnant woman doesn't survive, the child will not survive, and the child can easily be at risk that even though the pregnant woman survive and there's a big trauma, it can affect the child, and the pregnant woman might lose the pregnancy. So it's like that is what this my box is. That's how it functions. So it's like this is the woman carrying the baby, and this is the baby. So there are two boxes. Take note of that. I know it's a bit complicated, but if you want to learn more about this box, you can visit my website, Makaveli Traders, and you get to learn more about me. So the first thing I want to do is also look for all the opportunities, the seller's line, the buyer's line, the patterns inside the box. So this is where I've drawn this line. So there's a bias line. Remember, for me to get a bias line, now we're getting to the point of using our trend lines. I need a minimum of two touches, and this is two, and this is three. So we just touched it, and there's no coincidence. This is exactly our demand area for the biggest box. This is very important because now the chances of a bounce is very high. Okay, so let's go deeper. Let's see if there are other lines that we can actually find. I think we can still get another seller's line, and this seller's line tend to look like it is now forming something that look like an expanding channel, and I think this could be found right here. So at the top we get the seller's line. So now this seller's line is projecting outside of our box. So is there a future plan of this box? This bulls actually coming to overcome 0.98? We're going to find out more. Well, what I'm seeing here is an expanding channel, and you can see this is one and this is two. So it's expanding, and this you can see as the buy go up, the equal sellers coming, equal buyers come, equal sellers come. So there's equilibrium. That is what a channel, in every channel there's always buyers and sellers for channel to work. So what I'm seeing here now, if we go further, let's try daily chart. Let's see if we can get one more slanting down sellers line, because so far they've been pushing down. So can we get that line that the sellers has been respecting since they started pushing them down from this all-time high area of 0.9897 range? So I'm going to try as much as possible to see if I can connect the sellers. Now obviously this seems like a battle to connect them, because if I try to do this, it's used like this. So I have something like this, and this is what this actually said, because I have one and I have two. Why quite very interesting on the daily. But if I go to 4 hours chart, I see this yet another seller's line that they just broke through, a new seller's line. So let's go to 4 hours. I told you this is going to be a multi-time frame, so it's going to be a deep analysis, deep view, and we're going to consider all the possibilities that will play out in this particular coin. Remember, I'm going to my network. I'm sorry about the delays in the loading of the chart. So this from here, so from here, you see a seller's line, a clear seller's line, right? A very clear seller's line. Like I always say, this is 4 hours chart. This is one, this is two, this is three, right? And they broke through it. Now, what this tells me is there is a break. They've broke through 4 hour sellers line, but they are yet to get to daily chart sellers line. This is daily chart sellers line. So what this tells me is the chances of we making it to this zero point 0.6 again on WAPS. WAPS is very, very high. This is what I see. Now, that is the trend lines, but this is what my chart. Now, let's try to interpret the chart based on the box strategy. Now, let's scrutinize the box strategy. Let me interpret it. This is what I'm saying. The box strategy says every broken support becomes a resistance, and every broken resistance becomes a support. And in this situation, this was our demand area, which is support. This was our supply area, which is resistance. But unfortunately, they broke below it, which only means that getting back into it is going to be a drama. Expect this move that took place here to also take place here. Then chances are they could push them down. But again, this is 4 hours chart. So can we see if we can get a bias line they are respecting? So let me zoom in. Remember, if you're going to trade this chart, you're going to have to zoom in. I just had to zoom out because so that we'll be able to have more data to work with. But you can see that if you're trading this chart, my box makes it easy for you to get good target range. Even if you're 4 hours, if you're scalping, in fact, you will find out that the box gives you enough target range. Imagine if you enter the chart right here, you would have been taking profit here. So here's what I see. Based on 4 hours, we are already back in my resistance area. And according to the box, they're going to be a push down. And this push down could get us right here. Could get us right here. This is if we are obeying this bias line. So this push down could get us here. And the thing about this push down, how far is this push down? When I say get us here, I think 0.3 range to either 0.3 range to 0.28 at worst. They could push them down to that point. This is 4 hours. But again, let's not be naive. This bias have been respecting yet another line. I like being open-minded. I don't like always concluding too fast because this market is always right. So I like looking at every possibility. The possibility is I can also see that this is one touch here. This is two touch here, right? So what if they come right here and pause here, right? By probably around this point, right? And stopping somewhere around here or here, they will attack inside. Now, it does not mean that they will not continue this journey. The move is still up, but I'm just saying that chances of them getting a reaction is high. As a result, they could move like this, move like this, move like this. This kind of move that played out here could move up, right? So once they step into this point, they could move like this and keep going up. But the scenario I played out is if the BS strike, that is, if the law of my boss plays out that says that broken support becomes resistance, then they will going to get a push down. But if the demand inside this place start growing, then they could start having, even though they are pushing them down, because you can see them, even though they are pushing them down, they are still moving. The reason being that the demand here is still in play. So if the demand here continues to be in play, it will keep taking them up until they get to this point before they even have a real major dip that will take them back to 0.7. So they could get to 0.48. That is if the demand here. Remember, because it's the weekly chart and the monthly chart support area, the demand is very strong. It's my biggest box, and this demand can push price all the way up. You can see what the supply here did, right? Once the supply kept growing, you can see it pushed them all the way here. So the demand here could push price all the way back up here. But if we take this target, this is 4 hours we just discussed, the possibility of the bulls and the BS. And if we are going to take this deeper and take it back to the daily chart. So let's go to the daily chart and let's talk about the target based on the box of what the daily chart is saying. So on the box strategy on the daily chart, now we're going to see that our move here is likely going to be strong. So I'm going to take away this line because obviously now it is not making much sense to us anymore. We've discussed it, so we're going to leave our chart very plain. So on the daily chart, the target is quite very extended than the 4 hours chart. On the daily chart, the target is around 0.6, right? Because why? Even though they will move, they will still move. They will still move. They will still move. Yes, they will be pushing that. You can see, even though they were trying to stop them from going down, they kept going. So the same thing is going to happen here. But I do see them taking, remember, daily chart take minimum of a week to play out, weekly chart take minimum of a month, monthly chart take minimum of a year. So these are how this chart works out. Time frame matters. Patience is important. When you're dealing with crypto, you have to learn patience. So the long run is, I see them returning to 0.61, 0.62. Now if this, because now they are still dealing with the power that is here, right? The buy power that is here, you can see it's the same buy power that took them all the way up. Now, once they get here, like you can see, when they get here, they reacted and they returned. So once they get here, they are going to return. Now, remember that a broken resistance becomes a support. While they were going up, there's a reaction when they were entering. But once they are able to break above here, this point becomes new demand area, new buyers area, new fresh buyers are going to come in, and they'll be considering this area as a demand area, leading them to attack this point again. And before you know it, they'll break it and they will go straight to 0.7, 0.7 to 0.76. Now, if the pressure continued, they could even find themselves to 0.8. But here's what I see. According to expanding channel, let's now consider what weekly chart says. Like I said, weekly chart takes a minimum of 1 month and 1 month to 3 months to play out. So patience, patience, patient, patient. And again, the monthly chart, I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm going to bring something into play now. Now that we are considering the higher time frame, there's something that occurred here, sideways market. Now, if the same thing occur here, now it's going to affect my timing that I just give you. This is why I don't like giving a time. But I know these things are going to play out. But especially in a sideways market whereby there's equilibrium between buyers and sellers, it takes a long time to break out. So sideways market always, no matter how buyers try to break it, they will get pulled down. No matter how sellers try to break it, they will get pulled up. So there's this sideways that will go on. You can see it took place in the past, and I know one thing about history: history repeats itself. So I am going to be very honest with you, and I will tell you that patience is going to be needed, because I do not know how these buyers tend, their demand is going to grow. I might tell you the move that I see coming, but I don't know how much is going to likely enter per day into the market. The amount of money that enters and leaves the market is what determines the movement of price. So yes, we have a very strong bullish signal, right? This three is called a 3 bar reversal, a bullish 3 bar reversal that could cause the move of price to the upside in terms of candlesticks. The beautiful thing about this 3 bar reversal, they are sitting on a very important demand range. That is one. Number two is, I want that the father, I do not want this sideways to occur. I really do not want it to occur, but I know that history repeats itself. So chances are high they will repeat the same move before they start moving up, right? But it's just that while repeating the same move, they will keep actually making higher low. So like I actually told you guys, when they get here, there will be a struggle. So that struggle, we could have that move, and the next candle could push us back in all this kind of struggle, but they will still get themselves inside. In the long run, weekly chart could likely attack here, right? But expect a reaction around 0.4 0.4 544. After the current reaction around 0.38, you're going to see another reaction around 0.42, 0.48, 0.5352. You're going to get another reaction around 0.6, 0.62. You're going to get another reaction around 0.7, 0.8. I'm talking about weekly chart. So this is good for holders, right? Patience is needed. If you need good back, then you must learn that sitting. You must learn how to sit your ass down if you want a big back in crypto. See, getting moved and emotionally moved by every candle is not going to do you any good. If you want to make good money in this market, patience is very important. And as you can see, obviously, in the monthly chart, this candle, this three candle is also not your friend. Obviously, it's not your friend. But we are hoping that um the current candle on the monthly chart could change as soon as this new month that we are on changes. I remember Bitcoin Gorilla, but before that happens, I do see in a long time, I do see this move happening, right? I do see this move happening, but this is going to be a lot of journey because you can see all these plays are going to be a reaction. But before then, I would have come to update you. I remain Bitcoin Gorilla. Thank you for watching.